I must be brain dead. As the title indicates, I got a problem with these companies. So let me give you some background. I know a lot of you are going to know about this, but I got to bring everybody up to speed. There's a lot of people who haven't watched all my videos. As you know, some of you may know, this is an old well dug somewhere in the 60s or 70s. It goes down 100 feet, and I have spent an enormous amount of time perfecting its abilities. It's old, so therefore things have went bad on it. So we had the well casing that went down 15 feet. Modern day wells, they go all the way down to the bedrock water, but this one doesn't go down that far. Two things happened with it, at least in my mind, has happened with it. Well casing broke. The other thing is, since it's not going down far enough, either thing I figured was making dirty water, so when it rained, dirty water would get around that well casing and kind of soak into it and then drip down into the clean bedrock water. This thing has a recovery rate of about 5 gallons a minute. First year we were here, basically, I didn't do anything to it. We put a well pump down in it and it regularly got dirty, and I just dealt with it. I flushed out the well. Every time it rained, I would flush out the well 3 times, 3 days after it rained. That was to make sure that all the water had dripped down there the 3 days, and then I would flush it out to get all that dirt out of it. If I need a large amount of water, all I got to do is turn this thing on full blast, run it for about 15 minutes, shut it off, and then I can do it again in about 20 minutes. That way I don't run the well out. So I got a pump that's 15 gallons a minute, but the recovery rate is 5 gallons a minute. It holds probably 60 gallons. The well itself holds about 60 gallons. So as that water starts to come down, I shut it off so I don't run the well dry. It doesn't hurt the well, it hurts the pump, because these pumps can't be dry. So one of the things I did was I put a well packer in there, and it's basically like a boot that fits up tight against the well casing, attached to a piece of PVC pipe. So these rings go around a piece of PVC pipe, rubber rings. There's 3 or 4 of them. It slides down in there, and so you just keep attaching 4-inch PVC all the way down to the end of the well casing. So that holds back the water if it's cracked. So the water's dripping in, comes down to that well packer, stops there 15 feet down. In between the 4-inch pipe that you see there and the metal well casing, there's a 1-inch gap. That's probably all filled with water by now. Then I built this structure, and it's very similar to the structures that are all around here. It's how I got the idea to do it. The structures around here, though, are built out of cinder blocks. The cinder block building that was on this one, a tree had fallen on it and busted all up. So I built this with this vinyl. I guess it's vinyl. I don't know what it is. You can get that at Home Depot in the roofing section. And I just extended each side out 2 feet. So the box size is correct. What is that? 2 feet from the center of the well. And then I went another 2 feet with the roof. So it kind of overhangs 2 feet here. But another problem I was having is every spring, water would come rushing down to this well when on the first big flooding rain. So it would overfill my ditch and it come running down here. So I also installed a French drain. So a French drain, so you see these rocks here. So I dug a trench all the way around. Then I put a pipe in there, that 4-inch pipe, the same pipe I used for the well packer. You drill holes in it, and then that water goes down into the rocks, gets into that pipe, and then drains off down the hill. Well, it's been 2 years, and every flooding rain, I still have a problem with water getting into it. So one day I decided to just sit at this window and watch the water when it came down, flooding down. We've had some monstrous rains this past summer. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to study it. But I also noticed on these huge flooding rains where we're getting 5 inches, I think the most we got was 3 inches of rain in 1 hour. It was a lot, doesn't matter how much it was. It was still coming down here like a river. And it was rushing over these rocks. Believe it or not, it just went straight over it. So it would come down to the edge of the concrete, the edge of the building here, and then eventually just soak all the way down into the well. I came up with a very simple solution. So it took me all this time, and I know people think I'm stupid that it took me so long to figure this out, but I just dug a little trench here. It's not even that deep, and it captures all that water, runs it down before it gets to the French drain, and I haven't had a problem with dirty water since. My problem has been solved. Now, there is one potential problem that I haven't had yet this year. Just the rain patterns have been different. The first 2 years, I would notice that it would rain for a week or maybe 2 weeks straight. It would just constantly raining, drizzle, rain, and the ground would be completely saturated. You're sliding, making mud tracks everywhere you go, and that would make that water dirty also. Well, we haven't had that this year. So I don't know if that kind of rain is still going to cause me a problem with my well. But at least I got the flooding rains taken care of. So at most, once a year, we'll get these long, week-long rains. I'd have to flush the well out. No big deal. Now, what I do is I take that water and I put it into a 275-gallon IBC tank. It's inside this box. It's heated. So I take heat from inside the house when I'm running a wood stove, and I blow it into here. That keeps everything thawed out down to about -4 degrees. Beyond that, we haven't really come up with a solution yet. Might do something a little different this year if it gets that cold. I don't know yet. But even at that, it's no big deal. I don't need to use this tank water. I can run that hose into the house, into our water heater, our on-demand water heater. Just turn on the well, and it goes right into the house. We take a shower, fill up our sinks, whatever we need to do. Up till this year, I have ran the well off a generator, which was kind of costly. Original generator, that one, it was pretty old. It ran it for a while, but that one just kind of gave up the fight after a while. So we've been running it off a dual fuel propane gasoline 2500 watt generator. I always wanted to be able to run it off solar. So as you know, this year I've been working on my solar panels to resolve that. So I have now completely removed the generator from this area. It's no longer here. The gas has been drained out of it. I've cleaned it up, changed the oil, and I'm storing it. I can fill the tank up in even a partly cloudy day. On fully cloudy days where there's just no sunlight coming through, I wait a day until the next day where it's partly cloudy. The most I would have to fill it is 30 gallons. That's the most we'd use a day. It would take all of 15 minutes to fill it. So now my water is completely free. It doesn't use a lot of electricity. I can fill up that tank in 15 minutes, 30 gallons. It may be even faster than that. I just that's how long it takes me to click the button down there and come back up here and switch it over to the hose. I mean, that's about 15 minutes what it takes. So I'm not using hardly any electric. Now, as you know, we have 1200 watts of solar panels, there's two parts of this story. I use about 800 watts an hour. If I were to run this pump for an hour, it would use 800 watts. I make 1200 watts, so it leaves me 400 left over. I don't run it that long, so I have plenty of electricity left over. So that's why I can run it on partly cloudy days, is because I only use maybe 200 watts because I'm only running for about 15 minutes. When I say wattage, I think everybody needs to learn that vocabulary. What is a watt? How much is it used? And it's real simple. I know that this is a 3/4 horsepower pump. So all you got to do is Google how much wattage does a 3/4 horsepower pump use, and it says 800. How much does a 5,000 BTU window air conditioner use? You Google it, 500 watts. Microwave. We got this microwave in that camper Carolyn's son was staying in, and Google it, 500 watts. So you can easily figure this out. But people really need to start paying attention to this if they want to live off solar panels. The solar panels make 1200 watts an hour, but remember, you got to make enough wattage to get you through the night. You got to be able to charge your battery. So if we're using 800 watts nonstop all day long, first of all, you got to have a lot of batteries to do the same at night. And then you got to run that during the day. So if you're running 800 watts all day long, you're only making 400 watts to charge the batteries, run your freezer, all the extra stuff you want to do. So this is all important information. So I was told by a commenter that I need to be a little bit smarter. He specifically said, "You're brain dead." I'm brain dead. Because don't you know you can make water out of thin air now? Instead of messing with this well all the time, trying to figure out how to get clean water out of it, just make your own. So I tried to understand what he wanted me to do, because, you know, usually when people are calling me brain dead, that indicates they don't know how to do it. And he specifically said, They show you how to do it on YouTube. All these channels are telling us how to do it. So now he's an expert because he watched a YouTube video, which I've criticized before. So I looked it up. It's called an air to water unit. You can buy one of these smaller units at Walgreens. You can buy these huge, massive commercial units, I guess at Ace Hardware, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter where you buy them. So I started doing the research. So this unit of Walgreens uses 200 watts an hour. So if I wanted to make a gallon of water, I would have to run it 4 hours. It produces 1 gallon, and that would be 800 watts. Whoa, wait a minute, think about this. I said 800 watts is what my pump uses. I can make or pull out of the ground 900 gallons of water in 1 hour. So it takes 4 hours to make 1 gallon, same amount of electricity between my pump and this thing, 800 watts. 1 gallon versus 900 gallons, 4 hours versus 1 hour. I'm not really sure that I'm all that brain dead. Another thing my friend John sent me, John has been with my channel forever. He's a subscriber. I remember sitting in my living room right before we became nomads, typing a reply back to him on Facebook. He's been around a long time, 6 years when we started this channel. He's been here since the beginning. So I've been saying here recently that I cracked my solar panels. They're called micro cracks. And the way I cracked them was I put water on them on a hot day. The reason I put water on them was because when these things get above 78 degrees, yesterday I learned it was 77 degrees. I always thought it was 78 degrees, 77 degrees. You start losing electricity, voltage, efficiency. So he sent me this video, and the guy was demonstrating his solar panels. He got his solar panels up to 135 degrees, which is probably where they're at right now, and it's a nice day. He wanted to show the efficiency loss. So he took his little laser thermometer, which I've done the same thing, and he showed us what wattage he was making. But somebody in his comment section told him, now this is a company, this is a manufacturer who did this. So one of the people in his comment section said, I just spray water on them and I can get them more efficient, which I agree. You can get them cooler, they become more efficient. I saw it happen myself. So this guy, the guy who sells these solar panels, made a rig and showed him putting water on top of the solar panels. And what he discovered was he improved his efficiency by 5%. Well, I got to thinking, 5%? That's really not that much. I have a 100-watt panel here. If I cooled it down to the temperature it was supposed to be with water, that'd be 100 watts. If I lose 5%, that's 95 watts. So it's really no big deal. I'm only losing 5 watts. I can actually live with that versus cracking my solar panels. But he never mentioned cracking his solar panels. If you Google it, can I put cold water on my solar panels to cool them down? It'll say don't. You can crack them, which is what I did. If you can't hardly see the micro cracks on these solar panels on the camera. I've never seen them on this camera. But I just bought 2 new solar panels. They don't have these cracks on it. So you crack them, you start to lose efficiencies on them also. So I wouldn't put water on them. I definitely wouldn't put water on them in the heat of the day. The only way to make that work is you had an RV pump like I got in my little IBC tank, that 275 gallon IBC tank, and you started it first thing in the morning before they got hot. The thing is, you're gonna lose all that water. That's not cost effective at all. That just wouldn't work. So you would almost have to build yourself a recovery system where the water would come spray on the solar panels, you'd pump it drain down into a tank or something, you pump it back up to the solar panels. Eventually that water would get hot and you wouldn't be able to use it, but maybe you could find some way to cool it down, underground tubing. It would be complicated and expensive. Since you're only losing 5%, it's not worth it. Just lose the 5%. But I can't believe that they're telling me that I'm brain dead because the company has made a machine that uses so much electric you can't run it off grid, even though that's what they're telling us that they're using it for. And another company put water on their solar panels without ever mentioning that you can crack them or how to prevent from cracking them. So yeah, I'm the brain dead one. So if you click this up next box, take you to a video where I was talking about fakes on YouTube. So I hope I can inspire you, actually, to learn what wattage is, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.